All right, welcome to the Jazz Piano School podcast, episode number 273. My name is Brendan Lowe, creator and founder of Jazz Piano School. In this particular podcast episode, Sterling Koza, one of our amazing jazz piano educators, is going to teach you a really simple way to know exactly what scale to play over chords. Now, jazz can be extremely confusing. Take it from me, I know. And when you use this and implement it, it's going to make it so much easier on you to know exactly how to improvise, what notes to play over any chord that you use in the real book. All right? With that being said, let's dive right in.
Hey everybody. In today's podcast, we're going to be talking about chord-scale relationships. A question I often get asked is, how do I know what scales or what notes to play over chords? If I'm playing a standard, and I see a chord like D minor 7, how do I know what chord to play? And, it's tempting to want to gravitate towards playing licks, like top, 2-5-1 licks to play in the key of C major. Like, it can be good to learn those to get some notes under your fingers, but how do we determine which notes fit in the key of C major, or for that matter, a more distantly related key like A flat major, or, God forbid, like G flat major? A lot of flats or sharps happening. So today I'm going to show you how you can figure out what notes to play over any given chord, and give you some ideas of how you can improvise using those notes and combinations like scales and arpeggios over really any standard that you need. So first I'm going to start by showing you a diagram, and this may be familiar, but we're going to review it. This is a C major scale harmonized in sevenths, major seventh chords. So we're starting with C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, B minor 7 with a flat 5, and then we're back to C. So, how do we come up with each of these chords? Well, in the key of C, we know we've got all white notes, and if we went up a third at a time, 2 notes at a time in this scale, we'd have a 4-part chord built in thirds, which we call diatonic to C major. Diatonic meaning notes that are within the key. If we do the same thing starting from D, we've got D, F natural, A natural, and C. And E, E minor 7, F, F major 7, G dominant 7, A minor 7, and then we've got the B with a flat 5th, that's F natural. B minor 7 would usually be, usually it has an S sharp in it, but in this case, we're going diatonic, so notes within the key of C, that's an F natural. And then back to C. So our whole scale harmonized. So why is that important? Well, this sort of acts as a framework for the entire system of Western tonality. We've got each of these chords serving a different function. The one chord, C major, is our home key, our root, and a chord like G7 is really important. It's our 5th, because our 5th goes down to 1. 5, 1. Right? For example, another chord like A minor 7 is our relative minor, meaning it's the 6th scale degree. It's got the same notes in the scale as C, but we're starting on an A minor chord, which gives us a different sound and a different definition for that collection of notes. Other ways that we can use this theoretical template to our advantage is constructing a chord progression like a 3-6-2-5-1, for example. If we were to do a 2-5-1, our second chord in the scale would be D minor. That's our minor 2 chord. And our 5 chord, which we just covered, is G7, which goes down to our 1 chord, C major 7. Some people ask, why is the 2 chord in a 2-5-1 always minor? Well, this is the answer, because in the key of C, our diatonic collection of notes is going to include a minor 7th chord. Because remember when we built those notes from the scale? Right? Those are all notes within the key of C major. It's not going to be D major 7 because that's a whole different key. Those are our notes in the key of C. That's our 2-5-1 if we follow along with this template. So you can come up with all sorts of chord progressions within the key of C using any combination of these 4-part chords harmonizing the C major scale. Major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, dominant 5, minor 6, and then half diminished 7. These are the diatonic 7th chords within the key of C. Now, we haven't even covered any other keys. You know, if we did keys like A or E flat, you know, those would give us a lot of different colors, a lot of different 7th chords moving around on the keyboard, but we're just sticking with C for now because we're going to look at a tune that uses a lot of chords like this. The tune we're looking at today is Fly Me to the Moon. And we can see a lot of these familiar chords within the key of C. We're actually starting on A minor, so rather than being in the key of C as our home key, we're starting in A, the relative minor, A minor 7. That's our minor 6 chord within the key of C. So if we look at these chords, we can kind of refer back to our diagram and say, where are these chords coming from? Well, the A minor 7 is the 6 chord, D minor is the 2 chord, G7 is the 5 chord, C major 7 is the 1 chord. And we've got a quick C7, which is a 5-1 in the key of F. But within our home key of C, F is the 4 chord. We've got our B half diminished, which is the 7 chord, and then an E7, which is sort of like a 3 chord in the key of C, but with a raised third, a C sharp, which takes us back to A minor. So that can be really handy, this diagram, in terms of coming up with chord symbols or numbers to explain those chords. And what this tells us is that we can use any collection of these notes within the key of C major to improvise with. So for example, our first chord progression starts with A minor. We're going to play some C major over this. Alright, and then here's our D minor 7. Again, more C. G7. We can use all the notes in C major. Sometimes I use a passing tone for more of a bebop sound between the root and the 7th. And then there's our C major chord. Obviously, we're going to play C major over that. F major. We can play C over that as well, which some of you might be asking, well, it's F, why wouldn't we play F major with a B flat? That's not wrong, you can play that, but since we're in the home key of C, F, if we look at our diagram again, F is the 4th chord in the key of C, so we can choose to play C major over this F. And we get this nice colorful B natural, which is like a sharp 11. If you want to think modally, this is like Lydian mode, sharp 11. And then B half diminished, we're going to play C again. And then we get to the E7. This is our first chord outside of the key of C. So what do we play here? Let's take another look at our lead sheet. Where is this E7 going? It's resolving to A minor. So whenever you have a chord resolving to a minor chord, you want to look at the home key of the minor chord. And this shouldn't be confused with the first chord in a 2-5-1. If it were A minor 7, D7, G major 7, we'd want to use the home key of the 1 chord, the home key of G major 7. But since A minor is our 1 chord, that's our home key. So we're going to use the home key of A minor with a harmonic minor sound. So for example, over the E7, try A harmonic minor. And our next chord, we're going to do the same thing. We have an A7 chord going to D minor 7. So what's our home key? D minor 7. So this is D harmonic minor now. So for A7, we can play D harmonic minor. So then we have sort of a flat 9 sound, right? A7 with a flat 9. That B flat. Very colorful note. Okay, so we've covered so far all the keys diatonic to the key of C major. All the chords: D minor 7, G7, C major 7, F major 7, B minor 7 flat 5. And then we had a chord outside of the key of C major, E7, which went to A minor. So you can use harmonic minor scales to resolve into minor keys. So how do we practice this? Well, especially when you're working on jazz improvisation, the best thing to do is just to loop some 2-5-1s. So what I'll do is I'll take a 2-5-1 progression in the key of C, for example, and there are actually play-alongs that you can use for this. Sometimes what I'll do is hook up a play-along to play something like a 2-5-1 progression in the key of C. I use the iReal Pro a lot, which has 2-5-1 progressions that you can practice in 12 major keys and minor keys. So you can choose to either play the whole thing or just loop a couple of bars. So there's a couple ways to do that. If you're using a mobile device, what you can do is actually select the bars that you want to loop and then go with that. So for now, I'm just going to put the drums on and play the chords in my left hand. But you can look for ways to accompany yourself with the play along. I'm going to play this at 120 beats per minute just for practice. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I'm playing within the key of C. Right? So that sort of thing. You can loop those 2-5-1s in major keys, repeating until you go through all 12 keys. And what you want to also do is make sure that you're practicing your minor keys as well. So minor 2-5-1s, if I'm playing in the key of A minor, I'm going to use that A minor harmonic scale. So let's try a little bit of that. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's the idea. I'll do that with a play along and I'll loop the same key like A minor for a couple minutes and then I'll switch to a different key. When you get comfortable with this exercise, you can try the whole playlist. If you look at, if you use the iReal Pro, like I have on my phone here, you can see the whole playlist goes through all 12 keys, which can be really challenging to do in a row, which is a great way to practice. And that way, whenever you see a home key like E flat or A flat or D flat, you're familiar with it already. So the next thing I'll do if I'm working on a standard and really, if there are a couple of challenging spots, like I'm not exactly sure what notes to play there, what I'll do is I'll look at the whole chart and I'll go through and just say what notes can I play in this chord, So like we started with A minor, so we're going to use C major, D minor. We're going to still be using C major for a lot of the time. And I'll just go through and kind of find the notes first before I even play anything in tempo. So what I'm going to do now is just call out these chords. You can follow along with your lead sheet at home for Fly Me to the Moon. But I'm just going to call out these chords with some left-hand voicings and just play the notes in the scale, just kind of exploring the key for a second. So starting with A minor. D minor. And this is all in the key of C, so I'm kind of just exploring around. G7. C major 7. F major 7. And here's our B half diminished chord. Remember, we can play C major over this. And then bring in the harmonic minor for the E7. And then back to A minor. Here's A7. We're using D harmonic minor here, which resolves to D minor. G7. E minor 7. Now we're in the key of D. A7, maybe add some bebop notes. And then we resolve to D minor. G7. E, we're resolving to C major 7. So that takes us through the whole first half of Fly Me to the Moon. Just kind of exploring without the metronome. We're just exploring some of those notes within each of those keys. The next thing I'll do once I get comfortable with that, knowing all the notes that I can play within the chords and the scales, is get that in tempo. So I'll bring my play along back, 120 beats per minute, just getting some drums going, so that I'm playing this in time now. Let's give it a try. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so you can see how you can combine some of those concepts of drawing notes from the scales and chords to improvise over a tune like Fly Me to the Moon and bring it together seamlessly so that you have one continuous solo. So I hope this was helpful, and look forward to seeing you at the next podcast lesson.
All right, well, I hope you guys enjoyed that episode. Don't forget to go to jazzpianoschool.com to check out all of our free, amazing education, all of the free podcast blogs. We do have a membership if you're looking to take a next step forward with us, get access to over 1,000 different jazz piano videos, playbooks, mini courses, a main course curriculum, success path, and so much more. If you have any questions, feel free to email us at support@jazzpianoschool.com. I hope you have a wonderful day, and as always, happy practicing.